Hi guys, Simona here from Edits by Simona. Sure, I have to say this video nearly never got made, and that's mostly actually due to you guys and your amazing support. I know it's only 2 days in, but this week has been crazy already. Doing lots of editing for proposals and ethical clearance. So thank you. Please keep the referrals going. Yeah, I just slapped on some makeup. I was going to just think that maybe I should just post the download and send out the email as per usual, but actually this topic is actually quite important. It's ethical clearance and how you should be going about it to make sure that you have everything to give yourself the best chance of being approved on first try. Last week we did the research tracker, which basically helped you monitor what it is you're reading. That's still available for download on my website. And this ethical clearance checklist, which we'll be going into now, will also be available for download on my website. I will post the link in the description as usual. Okay, so as I said, this week is ethical clearance. We are trying to make sure that you guys get approval on the first try. However, it is usually very, very rare that you are accepted and approved on the first try. Even if you're not outright rejected, they can often, and they do often, opt for the approved with conditions or subject to conditions, and then you need to correct certain parts or sections that they feel need corrected. And by they, I mean the ethics committee for whatever university or school you are a part of, and then you've got to hand in again. So given this process of iterative feedback and going back to correct things, the number one thing and your best friend should actually not be this checklist that I'm creating for you. That can be your second best friend. Your best friend should be time. And that's in all aspects of the ethical clearance process. What do I mean by that? If you have drafted your first draft and you've given it to your supervisor for sign-off, because supervisors will have to sign off before you can even submit to the ethics committee, make sure that you've given your supervisor at least 2 to 3 working days to read through, to sign off, to approve. So don't hand it in to your supervisor the night before you want to submit to ethical clearance. It's not going to happen. He or she is not going to be able to sign off in time, because often your supervisor will also give you feedback that you will have to work on. And your supervisors have lives, guys. Usually they have another 2 or 3 jobs besides just supervising you, plus another 5 to 10 students that they're supervising. So they're not going to be able, even if they can just sign off and everything is perfect, they are not going to be able to do that for you in 12 hours. 2 to 3 working days minimum is what you need to give to make sure that you've got time to work on their feedback and to get sign off from your supervisor. Then, most importantly, do not hand in your ethical clearance on the last day that ethical clearance is open, because of this iterative feedback with the ethical committee. Guys, I mean, I've seen it happen before where people hand in on the last day, they think that they're fine and they've been rejected. And some people can't finish their dissertations, they have to defer for the next year. It's a massive, massive balls up. So give yourself time, even if it's not the most perfect ethical clearance thing that you can do. Most likely you're most likely going to get approved with subject to certain conditions. You're going to have to work on it anyway. So just make sure that you've given yourself enough time for this feedback process and this feedback loop. Those are the most important factors when doing ethical clearance, in my opinion. Okay, what else? So let's get into the checklist. Like I said, this is going to be a very, very short video. My last video was like 9 minutes. We're going to try and keep them as short as possible. So there will be times where I'm going to say, just refer to the download, and if you have any questions, then contact me. So to the checklist now. There are 14 items on this checklist. Guys, not everything is going to relate to you, because the ethical clearance is very much focused on your chosen methodology and checking it to see if it is sound and ethical and like not illegal. this checklist therefore has stuff that's for qualitative or for quantitative, and depending on your research design, there are going to be things that you don't need to look at. For example, if you're doing quantitative, you don't need a consent form for interviews, and you don't need a consent form for, say, unstructured observations. You just need your online consent form for your survey, and that's it. The opposite for qualitative. So it's very, very much down to your chosen design. I can't do everything, so I don't have stuff that's specifically for group interviews, but I can look into that if someone is doing it and needs a lot of help. I can do that for you. I've just kind of stuck to the interview process and the survey process, because those are the most popular routes when it comes to methodology. So you don't have to pay attention to everything. There are going to be things that everyone needs to pay attention to, and you can refer to the checklist for those. It's all kind of outlined for you there. Then I've also included templates for different kinds of consent forms. So for your generic consent forms, for secondary sources consent forms, those are all there that you can use and edit as much as you like, depending on your university, depending on your topic. Just a framework for you guys to work off of and to make this process easier for you. You will have to put those in, even if it's just an example. So if it's just a generic interview form that each person that you interview will have to sign, you would have to put that in. Same for the quantitative side. But also be aware, guys, that for some methodology choices, you're going to have to already have signed consent from certain organizations. Again, you can check those in the checklist. But what I'm talking about there is if you're going to be using secondary sources, even if it's public available information about a certain company, like an annual report, you still need to get signed permission for the ethical clearance that from the organization that you may use these publicly available data. So yeah, there are a few others. Again, those are all outlined in the checklist. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact me by email or on LinkedIn or on this YouTube channel or via the form on my website. Happy to help you always. I'm always available. So let me see what else is necessary. Okay, as I said, the download of the checklist and the templates, it's all one document, it's a PDF document, is available on my website for download. Next week, we're going to be getting into my personal favorite referencing program. That's Mendeley. I'm going to be doing a step-by-step for you guys, how to use it, common mistakes that are made. So if you have any questions about Mendeley and referencing, please let me know so I can include it in the video next week. I'm not going to be doing other programs. I only use Mendeley. That's my personal favorite. I find it to be the easiest to use. So if you are using EndNotes or another program, you don't have to worry about it. But if you want to learn about Mendeley and are thinking of changing or don't have a program at all, this is definitely time for you. You do not have to do this manually, guys. Honestly, use the tools that are available for you to make everything easier. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in this week. Please, as always, comment, like, share the video. Any questions, I'm always available for you guys. And happy ethical reading.